Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 241 and 242 for the 22nd and 23rd of October for the Ukraine war, or the Russian invasion into Ukraine, or the Ukraine war of liberation from the evil Russians. Yeah. Anyway, so let's start off with the Southern Front. So there's no weird statements today, or rather, the statements are not weird enough for me to talk about. And okay, there is still a weird statement. So the Mykolaiv authorities have urged the civilians to evacuate the city until the end of active hostilities, which is probably never. You can never come back again, given the way how the war is being fought. So the authority of Mykolaiv, which is also Mykolaiv, urge the residents to leave the city and not return. It's like the Lion King. They tell the Mufasa, not Mufasa, Scar tell Simba to never return until the end of active hostility. So the statement by the Guleta Senkevich said that the destruction of the infrastructure and the absence of which will prevent them from living a normal life, like as if they are living a normal life at all for the past half a year. And also the danger of losing life. So he said he continues to tell all people who are not involved with the management of critical infrastructures, which he already said will be destroyed, to leave the city before the end of active phase. So basically, the civilians who are managing the infrastructure that will be destroyed will be dead. Will be killed. So anyway, yeah, this is the weird statement. And my criticism for this is that this comes right after the Russians call to evacuate, or rather the action to evacuate the entire Kherson region over here of civilians. And then the pro-Ukrainian crowd is saying that this is a sign that the Russians are going to withdraw. And of course, after days later, the front line still remains the same. And then if the Ukrainians are going to win, then why the hell are you withdrawing your troops over at the Mykolaiv city, which is counterintuitive, and it's also much worse because the Russians have not seen to be looking to invade into Mykolaiv city anytime soon. There's no intelligence that indicates that's the case, and the threat of invasion was much higher 6 months ago, and they did not evacuate the city. And to talk about destruction of infrastructure and danger of losing life, Mykolaiv is among one of the most bombarded city in Ukraine throughout this war, because there is just so much military equipment and facilities around this region where the Russians just keep bombing it. And then now, after 240 days, then it's actually a bit dangerous. Why not you live here forever? And it's like you should have evacuated them right in the beginning of the war, when the front line is so close. The front line was actually all the way to the airport region. The Russian troops were already at the airport region here. They were fighting around this region. They actually encircled the city, semi-encircled the city, and they did not evacuate the civilians. So I can't, I just cannot avoid calling this out. So then there is, according to pro-Russian sources, there are some conspiracy theory. They are saying that this evacuation has something to do with a potential false flag, and they say there's something to do with the ammonia factory. I have no freaking idea. And the latest conspiracy talks about dirty bomb, where there will be a normal bomb mixed with radioactive materials, which personally I just going to not take all this conspiracy stuff seriously, but because this is relevant to Mykolaiv, so that's why I put it here. But I don't think it's likely to be the case. Nothing happening at the Mykolaiv front. So now go to the Kherson Front. At the Kherson Front, the Ukrainians continue to make their push. The same locations are at play. The Ukrainians have been attacking the Russian lines for the past 2 days at Bruskinsky, Ischenka, Petikaki, and Sukhanove, as well as Koshara. The interesting about Koshara is that it's so deep behind the known lines at Bryansk and Kushevsky and Sadok. I'm not sure how they reached there. And what makes it more complicated, is that the Russian Ministry of Defense talked about fighting at Trifonovka or Trifonivka, which then makes this line, you know, really far away. Like, you know, how do you have a 16 kilometers difference? And all this information is coming from Ministry of Defense of Russia itself. So I'm not too sure how the front line looks like actually. Because if you talk about fighting at Koshara, then perhaps Borozensky and Kushevsky and Sadok might be taken by the Ukrainian forces. And so then this looks like an offensive that was not reported, where they push all the way to Trifonivka, because there is a good reason to push for Trifonivka, because at Petropavlivka, this is where the Ukrainian artillery is located. At Novovoskrenensky, this region is also one of their forward operating bases. So it's not exactly clear, you know, what they mean by, you know, fighting in the area of Trifonivka. So anyway, we'll continue to watch. And meanwhile, there was two Ka-52, Russian Ka-52 attack helicopters that got shot down over the southern front on the 22nd. That was reported by the Ukrainian Defense Air Force, the Ukrainian Air Force. And so two Ka-52 shot down over in the Kherson region. And that's all from the Kherson Front. Over at the Zaporizhzhia Line, or the Zaporizhzhia region, at the Zaporizhzhia Line, there is no active fighting. The main thing is actually redeployment and reinforcement of the Ukrainian forces around the region. There's reinforcement reported at Kharkiv, and then the forces that was this reinforcement is to replace the forces that were sent to Huaypo. And so, you know, several units of the 65th Mechanized Brigade was sent to the Huaypo region from Kharkiv. There's reinforcement reported at Uspenivka, and there's reinforcement reported at Porotsky, and there is a continued concentration of forces at Novokhyovka or Novogeorgievka. And so this might be an indication that there might be a major push in this region towards the Russian line. And there's also a reinforcement reported at Velika Novosilka, which is actually trying to reinforce because there is a major Russian presence in the area of Vremivka. Currently, Vremivka is still not captured by the Russian forces just yet. I think the Russian forces is holding some of the high grounds around Vremivka region. They are still not in the city just yet. Maybe they still do not have enough forces in this region. So that's all from the Zaporizhzhia Line. Over at the Donetsk Front, in the southwest or the western side, the Ukrainians launched their offensive in the southern side of this battlefront here, where fighting is reported at Mykolaiv, Volodymyrivka, Solotke, Slavne, and and also at Novomykhailivka. These are all Ukrainian offensive reported by the Russian Ministry of Defense over the past 2 days. So the Ukrainians also, you know, got attacked by the Russian side. Fighting continued to be reported at Novomykhailivka, Bojeda, as well as Marinka on both days. And as you can see, the Ukrainians seems to be a bit more active. The fighting was at Mykolaiv and Slavne and Novomykhailivka first, and then in the latest report coming out today was at Solotke and Volodymyrivka. All these are reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. So Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported the other ones. So, you know, both sides are only reported where they are getting attacked. No one is reporting who is attacking, or rather, where are they attacking. So this is why it's important to cover, both sides, so that you can get the full picture. Because both sides only talk about them defending. So if you cover both sides, you'll know who is attacking. And moving on to the Donetsk Front in the Pisky region, there is continued push at the Povomaysky region as well as Nevelsky. Nevelsky is very interesting because it takes such a long time for the Russians to try to capture this area. So you can see the number of blueberries here. It's just evidence of how difficult the line is, and there's more behind. So if you're not sure how crazy the defense line is, do check out the latest quick update, the Donetsk Front plus analysis, the last video before this SITREP you will be able to see a bit of explanation how ridiculous the front line around here is. And there is a fighting reported north of the Donetsk airport. The pro-Ukrainian source Deep State UA mentioned there was actually a push north of the Donetsk airport. And then there is also, interestingly, fighting reported at Avdiivka. So exact location of this fighting is unknown. This is reported by the Ukrainian army. And also this bird here, the bird head with the beak, continue to try to eat this red berry here at Keramik. So far no luck. The berry seems to be very spiky. And that's all from the Donetsk front. Over at the Bakhmut front, where the main Russian offensive is still ongoing, the Russians continue to be attacking Ozherenivka on both days. And there is very complicated fighting around this region of Orekdivka and Klishivka. So according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they say that the Russians are attacking Orekdivka. And then, but for Ryba, the pro-Russian source, they say that the Russians is pushing from Orekdivka outwards. And they actually managed to squeeze out, or at least the word, that's what they use, the 58th Motorized Infantry Brigade from the reserve line. So basically, one say that it was attacked, one say it was attacking from. And then same thing for Klishivka. So the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported that Klishivka was under attack and the attack was repulsed. But the Ryba pro-Russian source said that the Ukrainians actually are the one that launched an offensive from the direction of Klishivka, and the attack was repulsed. So choose your own poison, see which one you prefer. And over here at the Ivangrad, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continue to claim that Ivangrad is under Ukrainian control. They are under attack by the Russian forces over there. And reinforcement was reported at Opayne, according to the pro-Russian source Ryba. And but from Wargonzo, similar situation. The Wargonzo, which is the Russian a pro-Russian media, they are actually pushing from Ivangrad towards the southeast of Bakhmut. So another situation where one claims to be defending the area, another claims to be attacking from the area. So again, pick your own MSG. See you prefer the Russian brand or the Ukrainian brand. And fighting continues to be reported at Bakhmut, eastern Bakhmut. No real details about this situation at Bakhmut. And over at the Soledar region, fighting continues to be reported at Bakhmutske and as well as Soledar itself. So in terms of the Soledar, we very interesting. On the 22nd, we have the report from a pro-Ukrainian source, Deep State UA. And on the 23rd, the fighting on the 23rd is reported by Wargonzo and Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So a well mix of information corroborating each other. So that's all from the Bakhmut front. Over at the Siversk Front, there is heavy fighting in the Bilohorivka region. So the Ukrainian forces launched attack from Serebryanka towards the Russian line. Reconnaissance by combat. Then they successfully make contact with the Russian forces. Whilst the Russians are launching a pincer offensive towards Bilohorivka. There's one that's going directly into the city, and there's one coming from Zolotarivka from the south, attacking upwards towards Bilohorivka. So the Russians are very determined to try to recapture this pivotal or strategic town. But from previous experience, the previous time they tried to capture it, it is pretty difficult to capture this location somehow. And that's all from the Siversk Front. Over at the Lyman Front, the Russians are currently attacking towards Yampil in the forest, according to Wargonzo. However, the Russian Defense Ministry reported the opposite. They said that the Ukrainians are attacking through the forest south of Toske. They say in the Toske forest region. But of course, it could be a case where, because this is on the 22nd, this is on the 23rd, so it could be that the Ukrainians have actually was attacking through the forest south of Toske in this forested area, and then the Russians are now counter attacking towards Yampil. That could be the case. And reinforcement was reported at Lyman, where additional units was being deployed. And over at the Terni region, according to the pro-Russian source, they said that the Ukrainians were attacking, this from the side, or were attacking, in the Terni region, trying to reach Chervono-Popivka and Zilivka is here. So they are just talking about how the Ukrainians are trying to push this area so that they can reach this line here. Whereas War Gonzo reported that the Russians attacked in the direction of Terni. So very complicated, not fully clear who is controlling Terni at the current region, because one said that the Russian forces is actually holding this position. Another one actually said the Russians are attacking this position. Both are pro-Russian sources. And over here at Novo-Sadove, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Ukrainians tried to break through, however, did not work out. The Russians still holding this position. And over at the northern part, based on the information from Ryba, looks like Ukrainian forces have captured Makiivka, and from Makiivka they actually trying to push outwards. That they are attacking northward towards Novovodyan, and also southward. Fighting was reported south of Makiivka, and the force is reportedly pushing towards Chervono-Popivka, where there is fighting reported by Ryba on the 22nd, and on the 23rd this is corroborated by the Russian Defense Ministry. So far the push towards Chervono-Popivka have not worked out. And also based on the quick update, I said that I do not know what the hell is a Krasno-Popivka. So Krasno-Popivka is actually Chervono-Popivka. Apparently Chevron and Krasno is both means red. Interestingly is that the Russian Defense Ministry themselves actually call it Chervono-Popivka or Chervono-Popovka. So it's a bit curious why the Ryba side or the pro-Russian source actually call it Krasno-Popivka, which is not exactly the right name, because it's still ultimately a different word. There's also comments by the DPA community saying that Popivka means the lower portion of the backside, so it's actually the red backside. So everyone wants the red backside. Yeah, very very gay. So moving on to the Svatove Front. As Svatove Front, as per we mentioned earlier, there is fighting reported at Novovodyan. This one was attacked from Makiivka northward, and then the Ukrainian forces is pushing at Kovalivka, as well by reconnaissance by combat, and as well as Ryhorivka. So reconnaissance by combat, in case you do not know, was that they send a force that is actually decent size, that can actually launch certain offensive, and they try to look for weakness and try to push through. And if they can push through, reinforcement will come and try to widen the area. And so it's not just to contact to find where is the enemy. So far no luck for the Ukrainian side. And the Russians was reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry to have attacked Adrivka. And there is reinforcement reported at Borova, according to Ryba. There is a SOF, Special Operation Force, I think, assault squads transferred to Borova. And there is also withdrawal of tanks from the front line towards Borova due to the lack of fuel and lubricants. So Stemakivka continues to be very confused. You have identity crisis over here, and over here at Kazimivka, according to Ryba and the Russian Defense Ministry, the Ukrainians continue to try to attack this location. Interestingly, the Russian Defense Ministry also reported that there is fighting at, sorry, wrong color, Berestove. So which makes the front line a bit interesting. So which is why suddenly there's a poke here, going towards Kuzemivka, because if there is fighting at Berestove, then the Ukrainian forces can't possibly just go around Berestove. So most likely this attack on Kuzemivka might come from Stemerkivka, which means that this position is more likely to be under Ukrainian control. So far, not so sure. So, we have the two pokes poking towards Kuzemivka. And over at the Kupyansk Front, there is the Ukrainian forces relaunched their attack over at this Pechot-Tresneve Kaiserlivka Front, where pro-Russian source Rybar, which interestingly reported earlier than the Defense Ministry of Russia about the attack over at Pechot-Tresneve, at Olyansky, as well as at Kaiserlivka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, which actually have more information, because the Rybar actually reported it as recon, but however the Russian Defense Ministry actually reported as a force up to 3 motorized infantry companies. So they attacked these 3 positions. So maybe one infantry company was attacking one position. So far, again, it did not work out. Defenders tends to have advantage, in a situation of attack and defense situation. So there's no more updates over here at the Voronezh region. The pro-Russian source continues to say that there is a high possibility that the Russian forces will start to attack from Horobivka region. So far we haven't seen anything just yet. I saw Rybar's mapping. They map this entire forested area to be under Russian control, and Lyman Pershi is actually a gray zone. So they didn't put they put it as gray color, not blue or not red. So that's all from the Kupyansk Front. And over at the Kharkiv Front, there is a report of fighting at Zabliamki and as well as Shuhunivka, which is here, Shuhunivka. And so this doesn't look, at the moment, still doesn't look like a major offensive just yet. Maybe it's just some skirmish, and it was reported by the Ukrainian army. So that's all from the Ukraine. And this is the summary for the day of 241 and 242 for the 22nd to 23rd of October. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you think you have already subscribed, please check. Sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you without you knowing. And please press the like button to help to promote the channel, as well as share this to your friends and family and contacts, or just spam it on your social media to tell all these people who do not know better, you do not know better. So anyway, that's all from Defense Politics Asia, and I'll see you in the next update.